Wendy, Bree's mom, and today I want to talk about some superfoods. And these are foods I've been using, feeding my daughter for the last 30 years and myself. My daughter was born with a rare chromosome deletion. And the two foods I'm going to talk about today are two grains called millet and quinoa. Quinoa is pronounced, this is why I put this here, quinoa, K-E-E-N-A. And this is from the Andes. It is grown in the United States now, and it's more a seed. Millet is Western Europe. These are amazing grains, and these are both protein. These are both of these are very good for the kidneys. Quinoa has more fat than any other grain. They have tons of B vitamins, and other things will come to me as I go along. Very easy. These are staples along with rice. These are the two other main grains, although I also use teff and amaranth. And that is because of I'm very cognizant of allergies and how they affect our kids. Bree, seizures. She has seizures in reaction to anything she's allergic to. Now, how I prepare this dish, and I'm going to start with the millet dish, is I have 5 cups of water and a half teaspoon of salt on the boil. I'm going to add some 4 stalks of celery. And what you do is don't just cut off here. You take the whole stalk off. And then when you wash it, I use a vegetable brush to wash everything. And then, because these are so long, it's probably easier to just cut through, slice down like this, and dice it. Just dice it through. Now, in winter, you make your cuttings a little bit bigger because you need that warming. And in summer, you want faster cooking, so you cut it, all your vegetable pieces smaller. While we're talking and I'm showing you the vegetables, I'm going to add these 3 vegetables to the boiling water, which is onion, the celery, and winter squash. And let those start to cook. There we go. Nice. Now, that is how you do the celery. Now, in case for onion, I have to remember I've been doing this a long time, and maybe some people aren't cooking. So you just take this root part off here first, which connects it all together, and then with the knife you just pull back like this. Okay? And you've skinned your onion. Pretty easy. All these vegetables, by the way, have vitamin C in them. I mean, vegetables have a ton of stuff in them, but onions have vitamin C just because normally you wouldn't think so. And celery, the winter squash that I'm going to use. All right, so I'm just going to put that to the side. Now I've got a handy bowl for all this. I have a compost, so everything goes in the compost. And to cut an onion, this is the part that holds it all together, right here. So I'm dicing, so it's okay. But say you wanted half moons, you would have to disconnect that. So here, you go right through, right down the center here. Then take each half. Now, if I wanted half moons, this is the part holding it together. I'd have to cut that off. And then I would slice through like this. And you would have, these would all fall apart. But since I'm dicing, I'm just going to go through like this, and then through like this, and you've got your dices, okay? So that's the onion. I'll save that for later. And this will go into my handy bowl. Now, millet is an alkalining grain, and that's a good thing because an acid body is a disease body. So all the animal food products are acid forming. So if you have too much acid, you can have some, but you have to balance it out. So even though grains are a bit acid, when you add vegetables to them like I do, it makes them more alkalining. And millet is the most alkalining of the grains. So it is definitely body healthy. Now, the winter squash I have, I'm going to show you. This is called a butternut squash. And I prefer the sweeter buttercup. See, it's like a little crown. And this is a Cory. But all of these are nice and sweet. So what you do for a squash like this is, what you would do is you just cut through it like this. Yeah, it's a little tough, but that's okay. This is sweet. This is wonderful. In Macrobiotics, we have a sweet vegetable drink that just is softening, and so I will use carrot, winter squash, onion, and cabbage in a bowl, in a pot like this, with a lot of water, and I boil it for about, I don't know, half an hour, and then I would drain off the vegetables and keep that juice in the fridge to give to Bree. And that's natural. There's no unusual sugar. Sugar suppresses the immune system for about 2 hours. So the last thing Bree needs is her immune system suppressed. Well, the last thing nowadays any of us need. We need strong immune systems with everything coming at us in the news. So I would just cut, I'm going to show with this piece. I would put it down, take out this area with a soup spoon, and place it down, cut off each end. All right, and then I'm just going to use this piece I already have, like cut off that, and then you just slice away from you. Always slice, take off the skin by slicing away from you. If it's organic, you could use the skin, but I have plans for this pot that I don't want the skin on. Okay, so you just slice away from it like that. And this one. So this is what I have in the pot. I have those three things. Now the millet needs to be rinsed. I have 2 cups of millet, 5 cups of water, half teaspoon of sea salt. I have 4 stalks of celery, 1 good size onion, and probably, could be a couple of cups of squash, because I really like it. And of course Bree does too. Bree loves this food. What you do with, you always have to rinse your grain. I have done this a bit, this is just, but normally I do millet about 3 times. And then I would take this strainer, make sure I don't lose any. There we go. And in it goes. Now, no mixing, you don't have to mix anything. Put a cover on it, bring it to the boil, and this cooks for half an hour. Put a nice solid top on it, and you don't want to lose a grain. It's superfoods. There you go. And why wouldn't I want my daughter to have the best foods? Absolutely. Now, maybe you want to only mix to get the grain in with the vegetables, but once it's cooking, you leave the top on and just let it cook away on low. I will put this on the back burner. That is good to go. And I'm going to turn it, I'll make sure it's at the boil, and then I will turn it down and put it on. I'll use a timer, basically because you can forget. I can forget if I'm doing a lot of stuff. Okay, so now something I'm going to, this is, once it's cooked, it's going to be fine like it is, served with some vegetables. But I also want to take a chance here to do dry roasted pumpkin seeds. Now the pumpkin seeds look like this before they're roasted. They're flat, green, they're called pepetas also. And always keep your seeds in the fridge. So I have rinsed these already. I put them in here, I just rinsed them off. And now I have soon a hot pan. They'll go in here. Because even though these are both proteins, you add a seed to them and you've upped everything. You've made it a totally complete protein. So also this gives such a nice nutty flavor to it. I love that. So we're going to cook those. I'm going to keep an eye on this coming to the boil. It's not yet. All right, and a gas stove is important if you can. This is my gas stove. I'm in a rental, but this if I move, I travel with my stove. I also, this is a very small kitchen. I mean, I bought this, and this is mine, but really when I moved in here, that's my kitchen, and I manage with that small kitchen. Would I love a dream kitchen? Of course, but I'm just trying to say it's doable. And this is doable for anybody. I mean, financially, we are not rich or even middle class. And but I prioritize. Food is our energy, so I prioritize that. And I wanted to also say that these are carbohydrates. Now, a lot of people go, I don't want to do carbs. Carbohydrates are essential for energy, but there's a difference between simple carbs and complex carbs. Now, you need complex carbs. Simple carbs are your white flour, your white sugar, your everything white to stay away from. Because what happens with them is they burn up quickly. So they spike you up in energy and you crash, spike you up and crash. These complex carbs burn slowly in your body and give you energy. And you need, this is where your energy comes from, is from carbohydrates. They're essential. Fats, protein, carbohydrates. So it was interesting because as I'm going through old material, preparing to share this information, I came upon a book of superfoods. And I was just looking through it and I went, oh, wow. Everything we eat is a superfood. The vegetables we eat, the grains we eat. And you know what? Absolutely, that's what I want to give Bree, is the best. And this is a place I can do it. When she was having seizures, I didn't have any control. I'm sorry. But even after all these years, and she hasn't had a grand mal seizure in so long. Now this is at the boil, turn it down, 30 minutes. They still scare me. Such an uncontrollable feeling. And so cooking as her mom, I could feel that there was some way I could help her. Mom's cooking can always help. And hey, Dad's getting there too. My father was a cook, my mom cooked. I was actually born in the back of a restaurant, so, but I wasn't brought up with foods like this, except of course we had porridge every morning, which I'll talk about in a minute. When these are done, I will, and what I'm looking for with these, don't just leave these because they can burn easily. What I'm looking for is, you saw the very flat, how flat they were. I'm looking for them to puff up, and maybe we can show the difference. To puff up, get a touch of brown, and they'll be ready. And then what I'll do is grind them up, and I put them in a bottle in the fridge, and then I have them available for any recipes I'm doing that I want to add them to. These are getting nice. Wash your hands before you start cooking. I am very hands-on, but you wash, that I just take as normal. These are such, I talk about these foods, people tease me because I sound like, yeah, I love them. But they're our foundation for health and well-being. Oh, these are getting nice. Beautiful. Okay. And they don't take long. All right. Okay, I'm gonna, ooh, hot, hot, hot. Put them in a bowl. And as they smell wonderful. And they start crackling, you know, as they're ready. There. That is done. Whew. And let me see if you can, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference, but maybe you can. There. That is the difference between the on-dry roasted and the roasted ones. Okay? And those will get ground up and go into that grain. Now, quinoa. Here we go. And turn it back on, put it on high. Quinoa is 4 cups of water to 2 cups of quinoa. And I have it ready. Now, and a half a teaspoon of sea salt. Go. All right. Now, I have pre-soaked the quinoa for 2 hours, which is, quinoa can sometimes have a little bit of a bitterness, and that will take it away. You don't have to, you know, if you're in a rush or whatever, but for the little wee ones, our little wee kids, I would make a point of doing that. All right, and this is a great little gadget. A friend gave it to me. I don't know where she got it, but it's really to wash rice in. But I like to wash because so I don't have to worry about the grain falling out. It's really lovely. All right, so what we have, oh, okay. I'm thinking ahead of myself. This, all right, that's okay. Put the water back in the pot I had it in. And what I'm gonna do is first saute. A little bit of oil, not much. Bree, I probably use a teaspoon. For other people in your family, fine. But I use little bits with her. And what I'm going to put in here is onion. And we've got onion and zucchini. I just showed you how to do the onion. So I'm going to toss the onion in. And the zucchini. Let's keep it easy here. So you have 2 cloves of garlic, 4 zucchini this size, 4 this size, because zucchini can be giant, so 4 this size. And I already showed you how 1 good size onion, or 2 small onions. Now garlic cloves, I'm going to do 2 garlic cloves. How you get the skin off is you put the knife on it like that, hit it. And that skin will just come off easily. See that? Garlic, all of these vegetables have awesome nutrients in them. Most of them I saw today that I'm using all have vitamin C. Did I get it all off? There we go. Come on. Let's go. There we go. I'm going to do this in a garlic press. I just read recently that, actually I never used to use a garlic press, but I read recently that it disperses better than just dicing it up throughout the dish. So I love garlic. Garlic, there's all kinds of old things about garlic. Like if you have a cold, You hold a clove of garlic between your teeth for 15 minutes and then swallow it. Anyways, it's healthy for you, for sure. There we go. There, nice. Nice. This is like an Italian quinoa dish. So, stir it up, saute it. You don't get the good smells, unfortunately. There's nothing like, as a child, I used to love smelling the great smells coming from the house just before lunch and supper. It's just a comforting feeling. Don't get that much anymore because I think it's only 28% of people in the United States actually cook. So hopefully you'll come back because there's cooking for your family, Mom and Dad, is a very, very positive, powerful thing you can do. It's a great way to show your love because your love goes right into the food. Now with this, I'm going to add a couple of herbs. A teaspoon of basil. And I buy all my dry herbs organic too. And 2 teaspoons of oregano. Yum. Right? So, oh yeah, nice. And if you didn't want to use oil, you can water saute this. And I always make dishes for Bree. First, I take her portion out. Then I can season it more for myself. I can season it more for whoever else. But first I take hers out. So you can make this a whole family dish. Even basil has vitamin C in it. This is getting to be very nice. Now what I'm going to do is put the water back. This is the second trip to this pot. Put the water back. I've got the quinoa ready to go. There's a saying, one grain, 2,000 grains, something like that. You get every grain you can get into the pot. It's food. Don't want to waste good food. And then I'll just mix it here like that. All right. Now that'll come to a boil. And this will be 30 minutes also. So we have in the quinoa dish 2 cups of quinoa, 2 cups of water, just like rice, 2 to 2. This one is 2 cups of millet, 5 cups of water. So, no, not 2 to 2, I'm silly. This is 4 cups of water. I don't know why I keep making that mistake, because I've been doing this for 30 years. This is 4 cups of water to 2 cups of quinoa. Rice also is double, 4 cups of water to 2 cups of rice. Quinoa can be 3 to 1, but for this particular dish, I do 5 cups of water to 2 cups of millet. So, half a teaspoon of sea salt, the veggies, bring it to a boil, then lower it to simmer, put a cover on, and 30 minutes on a timer, and it's done. All right, so now we have, the grains are cooked. So first we're going to talk about millet. Once it's cooked, I take the top off and I stir it really, really well because you want the vegetables to mix with the grain, like that sweet squash all through it. And I also added about a half a cup of the ground up pumpkin seeds that I did earlier. And I keep them in a jar in the fridge. and I mix that all in together. Now for Bree, this is ready. What I would do is let it cool off a bit until you can touch it, but not too much because millet will solidify, and then it's harder to work with. So once this is cooled off, I will use this. I've gone through several of these over the last 30-odd years, almost 35 years. It's a baby food mill. And I put it in there, put this on top, grind it up, and then her food is edible for her. There'll still be have to added liquid because she doesn't like her food too thick or too thin. She's like a baby bear, my baby bear. And then I put it in a glass or a stainless steel covered container. All right. Millet is, as I said before, it's very strengthening for the kidneys. It's warming to the body. It's specifically good for the spleen, stomach, and any pancreatic conditions. It's full of B vitamins. It's a protein. And I think there's probably more. So what I do with it, okay, you've taken Bree's out. It's all ground up. It's in a container. Now, for the rest of the family, for yourself, and it's very edible just like this. Put it on a plate with veggies, garnish it with the gamasio I mentioned in another video, which is sesame seeds and sea salt. But what I do is I get a bread loaf, a glass bread loaf pan, and I literally fill it up nicely. Pack it in, please. You don't want air holes. You can do this with millet, but not the other grains. And then I just press it down nicely and let it solidify. Okay? Just leave it on the counter for 20 minutes or so. And then it's nicely solidified. So what you do for yourself or the rest of the family is then you would literally cut slices, okay, along like this. Okay? And what I have here, then you fry it up a little bit in some extra virgin olive oil or some toasted sesame oil. And, or another thing you can do when you can get your hands on that, when it's not too hot, is you can make little patés too, like I've made here, and fry them up. So this is the finished product, which I will put here. Okay. And this is the pate. There we go. It's a big plate. Let me put it at an angle. There. So that is, for me, a beautiful meal tonight. So that's for the rest of the family. And then some gamasio on top, and you're set to go. Another thing you can do with the on-ground pumpkin seeds is you can sprinkle them on the veggies you have. So what I have on this finished millet plate is the fried millet. I have some steamed collard greens, and I have some steamed Russian kale. And these are high nutrient. And these are the collard greens. And I talked about them on Bree's veggie dish video. I also have a small bit of sea vegetable dish, which I'll show on another video. And I have a bit of boiled salad, boiled broccoli, and boiled arugula. So we have sauteed vegetables, a boiled salad. I have a little bit of sauerkraut here, which helps with the digestion, a little bit of pickle. And for Bree, what I'll do is I'll get a really good organic sauerkraut like this one, comes out of Vermont. And I'll take her portion and soak it in water, just take a little bit of the salt off of it. And then I'll put it through the baby. Everything goes through the baby food. I will also use for different things a bullet machine. But I want to make sure there's nothing she can choke on. So I will put it through the baby food mill. So that is the millet dish. And now we have, put this on the side. And now we have the finished quinoa dish, the Italian, sort of Italian dish. And mix it up, take the cover off, mix it up well. Now, quinoa is also great protein. It's higher in calcium than dairy products. it tonifies the kidneys. It's just strengthening to the whole body. It has, trying to think of all of its benefits. It has more fat than any other grain, and it also has more protein than any other grain. So, and the different ways that I make this, okay, this was with the onion, garlic, and zucchini, and the oregano and basil. I also make this with onion, cauliflower, and sweet potato. Okay, that's another way. The millet, besides what I did with that one, I did the winter squash, onion, and celery. But I'll also do it with parsnips, carrot, and onion. Or I'll just do it with cauliflower and onion. So these, you take these foods and they start becoming many different dishes. So now the quinoa is done. Now, I'll put it on this other plate that has the same veggies on it. And that's good to go. And you can garnish with some raw parsley, which is full of vitamin C too. So I'm trying to, these are nutrients, these are strengthening foods, these are superfoods. You know, you look it up. They're in superfoods books. And you just, and this makes a great garnish. As you can see, I like colors. There we go. I'll put a little bit right there. All right. And the millet wants some too. Lots of green. Green is good. All those phytonutrients. And all, greens and reds. Wonderful. So I want to talk about, say you want to make a quick porridge for the family. I was brought up on porridge every morning. Thank God it wasn't steak and eggs or bacon and frosted cereals. And so you want rolled oats, but you want, like this, the gluten-free rolled oats, because I do no wheat. The highest allergens are dairy products, corn, wheat, and when I say wheat, couscous is wheat, bulgur is wheat. Okay, and I keep it as non-gluten, as allergy-free as I know to this point. So I use a gluten-free rolled oats, and in a pot of water, 2.5 cups of water. You want to make a really healthy porridge for your kids, and yourself, of course. You put in 2/3 of a cup of rolled oats, 2.5 cups of water, a pinch of sea salt. Then you would put in a tablespoon of teff, high in protein and calcium. Okay. Then you would put a tablespoon of amaranth, which, where amaranth is consumed, there's no malnutrition because it's high in calcium and high in protein. Okay. And then goji berries, superfood. 2 tablespoons of goji berries. And about 4 to 8 organic dates. And you let that cook, you bring it to a boil, turn it down to a simmer, let it cook for 10 to 15 minutes, and you've got an awesome porridge for your kids. And I would put either a rice milk on it, an almond milk on it, there's quinoa milk, and if they wanted a little bit of sweetener, I'd just put maple syrup, a good maple syrup. But Bree doesn't get sugar. She gets the sweet in her foods, like winter squash, because I don't want her immune system suppressed. She needs everything on her side, and to the best of my knowledge, that's what I do. So also what you can do for the rest of the family, like on the greens, you could use something like this Bragg's salad dressing, which is pretty clean. Bree's is healing level food. It's very simple. She will have Gamasio. And here is a Bragg shake sprinkle, which has 24 different herbs on it. So with this pot, I won't do it because Bree's going to have this, but say you've already taken out the portion for your child, then I would sprinkle this in it. And that will just pop it up. Okay? Now I think I've covered everything. Oh, one more important thing. And I'll go over next to Bree because she's getting a little bored. And I'll read this to you because I wouldn't remember it. Come on, sweet pea. I know you're bored. It's like, Mama, enough. Enough, Mom. Allergies. I really want to emphasize allergies and how it's hard to detect allergies. And it took me a long time, years, to recognize how certain foods were affecting Bree. And why that is because it's a delayed reaction. And that's why most people miss it. The delayed onset symptoms make diagnosing food allergies very, very, very challenging. And that's why most people won't attribute the condition that's going on, the skin rash, the hives, the swelling, the wheezing, congestion, diarrhea, constipation, vomiting, nausea, watery eyes, runny nose, buildup of mucus, earaches, ear infections, headaches, skin discoloration, joint swelling, asthma, ulcerative colitis, inability to focus, colic, chronic fatigue, epilepsy, swelling of the throat, intestinal bleeding, and also anaphylactic shock and death, which is pretty. But so people don't recognize these symptoms as being a reaction to a food they ate. And it can be, I think it's because they think it's going to happen right away. Well, anaphylactic shock with peanuts, yeah, but the rest of these foods can be, 12 hours later, 24 hours later, even a couple of days later. And I recognized it with Bree with, did the level of seizures go up or did they come down? And skin testing is not 100% conclusive. You really have to eliminate the foods. And a perfect person to get an introduction to this, because you can go and get this book on Amazon secondhand for, I think it's $1, and then the shipping's a couple of dollars. For $5 you can get. It's called Is This Your Child? And it's about allergies and recognizing allergies. And it's by a woman doctor, Doris, and her last name is R-A-P-P, M-D. That is a really good place to start. I've read several different books, but please, this is so important. This has been so important to Bree, recognizing the food she's allergic to. These foods, these aren't high allergen foods. These are superfoods, Sugar has no nutrients in it whatsoever, and it suppresses your immune system for 2 hours after you eat it. All the white flours, all those white breads, they have no nutrients in them. And what I'm using, when they say whole grain bread, when the brown one just has molasses in it, making it look brown, these are whole grains. Millet and that quinoa, those are whole grains. That's what a whole grain means, not something that has been refined down. So I hope this is of help. And this has been food. Food has been so crucial in that Bree is still alive and here with me and healthy. I mean, yes, she is still a very special needs little girl, but she's alive, she's happy, and she's healthy. And that's what's important, sweet pea, right? Are we good to go on this one? Mama, you can have time with Mama now? Are we good to go, sweetie? Yeah, I think so. This is her favorite toy. It's called a bonger. And it's really kept her hands nice and flexible. That and a mirror. All right, thank you.